Hi, I'm Liz.
And I'm Rhea.
Welcome to Karma's My Bitch, a podcast about love,
Sex,
connection,
abundance,
joy,
purpose,
peace,
and how life isn't simply the stories we tell ourselves. So what are the different types of energy? Because, you know, like in the episodes we did about sex, that was all about like creation stuff. But then you talk about creation, but then we talk about magic, then we talk about fate. I'm a bit confused how it all works.
That's a really good question. And I like that we're starting all these episodes with questions that then I just have to answer.
I know, me too. I'm really enjoying it.
I am less so. So when we speak of energy, it can get a little confusing and a bit convoluted because we say everything is energy and everyone's like, I feel their vibe, I feel their energy. It gets thrown around a lot. So when we talk about energy, we're talking about source energy. Okay, which is what animates us, right? Which is what brings life. Now,
and that's the white light from the white light meditation.
It's an example. But that's a very simple, small example of what source energy
it's
really
life force
is, which is it's beyond life force. It's beyond. It's everything, right? It's what allows for the all. So what we can touch upon or achieve in terms of what we're able to use or access in human form has been mostly just really small bits of energy, which is usually sex energy.
Okay.
And by
is that like being sexy?
No. Sex energy is a form of creator energy, right? And so that's often represented in our sacral chakra, right?
These K&B podcasts got really esoteric this season. Go on.
Yeah, didn't it? Mm. But I want to unesoteric it if I can.
It's okay. I'm into it. I was just commenting.
But that's pretty much what we could manage as humans, right? If you think about like how powerful humans have not been, really, I was like, wait, how powerful they are, or really how they're really not living up to their power potential. Sex energy is more or less what you've got, which is basic creator energy. Basic, though.
So how do you use sex energy? What is sex energy?
Sex energy is the ability to bring life to something in order to make it accessible on this earth plane, but in little small ways.
And is it from sex?
No.
So it's just called sex energy.
We call it sex energy because it's represented by the sacral energy, which is there in your sacral chakra.
Okay, so it's not from having sex.
It could be, though.
Yeah.
And so it involves having sex. It involves
desire, being turned on.
It involves being turned on. It does not involve desire. Desire is actually greater than.
Okay.
So sex energy is the most basic form of source energy that we can access through our sacral chakra that allows us to create the small ways in which human life can be a little bit better.
Okay,
so it doesn't involve making a baby. It has nothing to do with that. It's just small creator ways, and that is often through the arts, right? We can understand that sexual energy is often woven into art and music. Yeah, so how we experience a lot of our current entertainment was often sexual energy. Yeah.
Okay. But not from like a total, it's not like a sex place. It's just energy from the sacral chakra.
Yes.
So, for example, would you say like me doing my tapestries about sexual stuff was a bit on the nose?
Yeah, or like my books with like erotic sex. Yeah,
okay.
Kind of on the nose too.
Okay, fine.
Maybe a little too textbook.
Yeah, a bit literal there.
Ew.
But can I still, I mean, how would I use it today?
You wouldn't need to use it today because you've evolved past that.
Okay. So what's the next rung of energy?
Magic energy.
Okay. Which is what?
Okay. So magic energy, if you were to talk about rungs or in terms of just the next option for source energy. And, that's fun. Like, I'm like, ooh, that gives me such warm tingles. Like, that's a nice one because that you can feel vibrationally is much higher than sex energy. It's something that we access when we are in higher consciousness. That's why it's consciousness.
And that one is just, I am divine, so I want this. Like I remember like a couple of days ago, I couldn't find a parking space and I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, oh no, there's one.
You and your damn parking spaces.
Yeah, but like that?
No, not really. magic is greater than a parking space. It's more the like, I need to get from A to B, and I don't know how to get from A to B because there's no clear line, right? And of course we want to be efficient about it, so we never want to take forever from A to B. Magic gets us to A and B the fastest way possible, and often ways in which we couldn't conceive.
But magic is obviously bigger than that, because otherwise we wouldn't have 3 seasons on it.
Oh, magic is everything. But magic energy it's huge, but there's one other type of energy that's even greater than magic energy, and we get to talk about it today.
Okay, what is that?
It's called creation energy.
Okay, so what's that?
It's called creator energy.
Okay, what's that?
Creator energy. God damn, I should have just like gotten these answers yesterday when I did this outline. I was like, must make dinner, must just get through this. Creator energy is twofold. So
is that why you went?
Yeah, exactly.
Go on.
I feel like I'm at the mercy of your editing too. I was like, she's gonna keep that. We must humanize the divine robot.
That's pretty much it.
Anyway, so creator energy is twofold. It is the, as you described, the I am the divine, and I am so divine and therefore so powerful, I can create anything I desire. At the same time, I am also operating from the highest potential of my fate. And therefore, if I am realizing the greatest potential from my fate, then I can access all the information necessary for that bit. So can you imagine if you are all the divine and all that, while also tapping into all of that information made available in your fate, what you are capable of. So if we can harness all three, we are effectively like the most powerful we can be in human form. That's all the energy that could possibly be available to us, which is pretty cool.
So how do you know if you're harnessing any of those energies?
Sex energy is the one that's available to all. When you are in body, that is your life force. In order to get to magic energy, as we discussed in the previous season, you need to be in higher consciousness.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, creator energy is really the first time. It's the first time that it's available to anyone who has been incarnated. That means that we have come far enough along in our evolution that we can access it. So, I mean, imagine if you can harness all three. What?
But if you can harness creator, you don't need to harness the other two.
No, because they're different types.
Okay.
Yeah. So imagine if you can do all of that, what you can accomplish.
So how do you know if you can harness creator energy?
Well, you have to, again, higher consciousness. You have to have been able to avail yourself of magic, as in you have to understand how that works for you. And then when you get to creator energy, you have to be not only firmly embedded in your purpose, as in, I am so clear that that's where I'm going. And even if I can't see everything, there's no turning back. Like, that's it. And there's no question around that. That's pretty much where you're at in terms of your fate, right? So it was fate and the divine bit, right? So when you're there, that's how you know.
How do you know you're there? Because those feel quite nebulous.
They're not as nebulous. It only seems nebulous when you're at a state that you're kind of new to magic. But once you've been practicing magic for a while, it will actually feel a lot more real. Not only do we get to be more powerful than we ever imagined ourselves to be, but we can also realize our potential fate more readily than we've ever been able to.
Because we can just create it.
We can just create it, but we're also realizing it from the highest form possible. So when they refer to, because I keep seeing, they just keep showing me it's the highest possible fate, right? That's the phrase they keep using. And I'm like, yeah, but if it's a whole tapestry, it's like a bigger view. And so when they're saying the highest, is you're seeing it from the highest perspective possible. Okay. So you're seeing it for all that it is. That's what they mean.
Okay, so it's like all the different paths and possibilities, all the skills you could have in any iteration thereof, any person you could meet in any iteration thereof. Yeah. All the options and choices available to you are now available to you regardless of the choices you've made before.
I mean, amen.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, thank God. Because often when I know, I'm like, I can't be the only one doing this. Because often when we talk about looking at the fate tapestry, and when we're really looking at any picture, our perspective, our eyes, are really only registering a small portion of that picture, right?
Okay.
And we end up filling in the rest. I mean, that's how we view our lives, whether it's, in that sort of ephemeral way, or if we're looking at a photograph, we're actually not looking at the whole thing because we can only register parts. So when we're looking at our fate tapestry as well, or when some psychic is doing that, if they can even do that, they're really only seeing a fragment of it.
The next steps, I guess.
The next steps, or they're only just seeing some percentage or some portion.
Okay.
Because they can only register so much. It takes being not only detached, but also rooted in your purpose and so clear that you can see everything. And that's like being able to. But
is it one of those things where it's like, oh, now you can do that, you don't really want to do it anymore because you don't need to do it anymore?
What do you mean?
When I'm in my karma, being able to magic shit sounded amazing because all I wanted to do was magic my way out of my karma. Mm-hmm. Then once you get to a point where you can magic shit, you're like, oh, as long as my travel plans are easier, I'm not bothered. Mm-hmm. Is it a bit like that?
No. I mean, it's bigger than that. And you're always going to want to use it once you know how to harness it, because you're going to sort of see how everything grows from there and understand that wealth creation is an aspect of this.
So it's not an aspect of magic?
No. You can do it without having harnessed creator energy, but it's more than magic. It's like magic plus plus.
Okay.
Plus. With 3 pluses.
Okay. Okay, fine.
It's extra. It's magic extra.
Okay, fine. I think you can only create the things you really, really want.
Well, that's true. That's true.
I don't think you can magic it. You might be able to magic like opportunities.
But that's why magic and creator energy are different energy. Remember, there's still flow. There's still fate, which is extremely powerful. It's not an energy, but fate itself allows for a lot. It enables a lot. It unlocks so much for us that, that's what we take for granted more than anything. What our fate holds and allows for. So not only is harnessing all 3, from sex to magic to creator energy, mean that we can be really powerful, it means that we can grow and evolve by leaps and bounds. So we're not bound to our fate in the small ways anymore once we are able to do that. Yeah. So we're not just using karma to grow and evolve, or every experience and every moment. We're actually just operating and living from such higher consciousness that like a single moment, a single interaction can actually take us further.
Okay.
Than before.
Okay. What do you mean by further? Further along our fate?
Further along our fate, yeah.
Okay.
So I never really thought that we could get to this point where we could really harness or even have creator energy available to us. And I was thinking about you when this outline came through. I'm like, is Rhea, when she sees this, is she going to be like,
another
is that
goalpost?
Really true? Yeah, like another goalpost or another thing. And it's funny, you don't actually, because they were actually making the distinction, humanity can still go to pod. We're not dependent upon that to be able to get to this energy. It's actually that we've, there are those souls who've shown a great capacity for consciousness that they can access this. So one does not have to do with the other. Okay. Which is really cool.
Okay.
Because there were all these things that was like, the 2020 to 2024, everything is about these, consciousness and scale and souls.
So even if the choice is to stay in separation, you'll still have like 3 or 4 people bopping around using creator energy.
Exactly. Even if the world starts to go to shit, there are those who are just going to be just fine and even more fine.
Okay, fine.
And who can just still play with this while they're in body until whatever, the world self-destructs. Who knows? Humanity, in this case, when it comes to harnessing this energy, doesn't have to be doing better. As long as we are individually aligning to our fate and making the most of it, doesn't matter what, what's happening to the rest.
So how do you know when you've accessed creator energy?
Oh, fuck. Rhea, you will know. I mean, you may not be conscious of it, as in you may not know it. So effectively, you can really do whatever the fuck you want, that you are really not bound to anything.
Can you access bits of it before?
No. You have it or you don't.
And do you have to learn how to use it then?
No. Much like magic, it's pretty easy to figure out. The life isn't just what you make it, it's also what you do with it. Your life is about where you're choosing to direct your energy. And everything about your fate is about choice. Yeah, we talk about how like once you've aligned with your fate, that eliminates a lot of choices. But as we said, that actually creates like almost limitless possibilities. Yeah. And then suddenly, you know, you're faced with so much more than the life you had when you were in your karma or even post karma. That's why choice remains a critical feature of our fate.
Because we have to be able to choose it.
Yeah. You have to be able to choose as you go along.
Because you have to be the one to create it and enact it into this world.
And it has to be not only clear, but, you know, it's not a struggle. The one thing about when you're facing choices within your fate, they're generally not struggles. They're quite easy to identify.
Okay, so if you don't know what the choice is and you can't make it yet, it's just not time.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or maybe something else hasn't presented to you that would make that much easier.
Okay.
Where you're like, okay. And that's why sometimes you sleep on it. Sometimes you give yourself a week or two. Yeah. Because you'll know when it's time.
Okay.
Because it's so zigzaggedy, there's no direct line within our fate, right? Because we have to be able to choose as we go along. And we make those choices in order to realize our potential. And we have to keep doing that in order to expand it. Now, that's why it kind of brings us back to episode 4, where we talked about conscious connections and those types of relationships and how those connections are about expansion or help us realize something about ourselves, which is about our growth and evolution. Because once we can do that, so much more of our fate becomes possible, right? So we're constantly pushing and going forward, but everything is always in that kind of positive trajectory, as in it's always a forward progression, which is really interesting. Like the more I'm understanding about fate, the more I'm like, damn, it's amazing. That's why purpose is so important, because it tethers you to your fate in a way that gives you something like a hook. So you have something to travel with. You have purpose. You have reason. Otherwise, you're just going to be like all over the place, not really achieving anything. Like a bunch of like trust fund kids who have so much money. They're just kind of zigzagging around the world. But for what reason? There's no depth. But purpose gives you depth.
And creator energy gives you everything else.
It allows for your fullest potential to be realized. Thank you for listening. For more information, articles, and inspiration, find us at karmasmybitch.com and at karmasmybitch.insta.
And if you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review.